how to do it. Let me show you how to do it. Hi guys, so in my previous video I kind of covered the basic wiring. If you haven't seen that video, highly recommend watch it, because you understanding the wiring is crucial for you to really understand and troubleshoot the system by yourself. So look at the link in the description below, but let's get into troubleshooting. So imagine your air condition is not working, and your inside unit is working, you're getting warm air and it's not cool. So you come outside and you see nothing is working, or it's humming, or it's making some kind of noise, or it's vibrating, whatever, but something is not working. The very first thing you need to do is kill the power. The very, very basic thing. Now, normally there's a thing like this that is covered on this side. It's very obvious, which side it is on. Normally it's right on top of, where your connections are. So once you get here, everything is de-energized. The very first thing you want to check is what's happening in the system, right? Take the cover off and do a visual. If you see the capacitor kind of bulged out, because sometimes they bulge out. Sometimes you'll see like a lizard or something in the sitting right there and fried. That will give you a clue that, hey, something went wrong because of that short, whatever, and most likely it's your capacitor and things like that. Sometimes you'll see ant crawling into your contactor. So by doing a quick visual, it kind of gives you an idea. Also look for like pinched wire and things like that. At that point, you want to power it up. Again, do it only if you're capable of doing or dealing with electricity. This video is for educational purposes only. So the very first thing you want to look at is to see if you're getting voltage right there. So grab your multimeter, connect right there, or you can also find out by if you're hearing like a buzzing sound coming in, which will give you an indication that the contactor is picked up. Normally if you would pull this wire, the contactor will drop out. So that's a good indication. Another way of doing it is kill the power, pull these two wires out, put your multimeter on those two wires, and if you see 24 volt AC coming in these two, that'll give you an indication that is getting signal. So normally I connect my meter right there, have somebody turn it on from inside, and see if I get voltage. With this pulled over, so things don't come on, and I'm only measuring right there, and that tells you, hey, everything coming from inside is good. So now something is over here is not right. The second most important thing you want to do is, of course, power it up, and you can manually, in fact, what you can do is you can take this thing. Sometimes the contactors are a little bit different, but the concept is the same. You should be able to just push it in, and very few contactors are flat and you cannot contact it, but you can push it in and see if anything happens. If nothing is happening, you want to measure your voltage at the very bottom. Make sure you have 240 volts, 230, 240, 250, somewhere in that ballpark. It doesn't have to be exact 240 volt or 220. So put your meter over here, make sure you're measuring 220 AC voltage, critical AC voltage. Make sure it's not on ohms, you're just going to burn your meter. So once you have the AC voltage coming in 220 over there, that tells you that the power part is good. Now take the same leads and connect it on top, and once you connect it on top and have somebody turn it on, or you can push it in right there, that will give you, or that should give you, the 220 on top. That's good. Another good indication that you're getting 220 on top and everything is looking good. Now let's come to, most likely it's a capacitor issue. So again, pull the power, kill the power, take a picture before you do anything or disconnect anything. Take a picture. That's the easiest way, so but again, very easy to remember. The 3 terminal is mainly for harm, the 4 terminal is common, and 1 terminal or 2 terminal is the fan. The brown one goes on fan, the blue wire or the purple wire goes on the harm, and the yellow or black goes on the common. The common is basically jumper to one of the contactor side, and the harm is coming from the compressor, and the brown is coming from the fan. Watch that video that I talked about. I left in the link below to understand the full wiring. I really talked in detail about all the wiring part. So disconnect those 3, take your meter and put it into microfarad. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to do that. Okay, so put this into, see, it says right there, it says ohms, but my meter says ohms, and then this is a sign for microfarad. See this yellow sign? So I'm gonna press this yellow to change this from ohm to farad. See, now it says microfarad. So now I'm safe to test it. So one thing you don't want to do is leave the leads connected here and then test it. Bad thing to do. So let's take this off, take this off. Oops, sorry. Take this off, put it on the side. Again, make sure at this point either you have drained the energy from the capacitor, or you know, you waited long enough that there's nothing on here. Another good thing to do is take a plier and stay out of it, like, you know, out of the line, and just kind of jumper these two, because if there's any charge, it will dissipate. There you go. I'm just touching their terminals together, so this way everything is, the charge kind of goes away. Now you can take your lead, connect it on the common, and goes on the harm. So from common to harm, this guy should be around, I think it's like 40, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out. So anyways, put right here. Sorry, I'm trying to do it with one hand, so like this. And you can see it's 44.5 microfarad. So we know that the harm is 44.5, so that is good. Now let's check the fan. So from common to fan, this is where we're gonna go. From common to fan, and that's 4.98 microfarad, which is close to 5 microfarad. So we know that our capacitor is good. So let's connect everything back on. So the blue one goes on harm, the brown one goes on the fan, and the yellow one, which is a common, goes on the common. There you go. So now we have everything connected, and most likely you will have your capacitor go bad, because that's a very common issue for the capacitors to go bad. Now remember, if your capacitor is bad, either the fan will not be running or the compressor will not be running, or both of them. Very rare because I've seen both of them. So if your from common to fan is good, you're reading 5 microfarad, and the harm, common to harm is, you know, imagine if it's 45 and you're reading 30, that's not good. So definitely want to change it. If you only have one capacitor with only, you know, the capacitance for the harm, for example, and that's bad, you can have another one and just connect from common to common of that one, and then just put this lead to the harm, and you can use 2 capacitors in here, separate, one separate for the harm and one separate for the fan. But recommend, you know, just grab one of these. In emergency cases you can do that, but grab another one of capacitors and replace it. If your capacitor is bad and you don't have the exact size, it's better for you to go higher, but don't go lower. So if you know, mine require 45, I can go up to 50 is better. If I have a 51, I can put that in there temporarily and come back and change it. But you don't want to go on the lower side. Higher side is better. So that is it on this side. Just make sure all the wirings are good, nice and tight, and at that point we will be able to pretty much put everything back together, in my case at least. But now next thing, imagine if your fan is not coming on, your capacitor is good, then what could it be? At that point, pretty much the fan is bad, because there's not much in the fan. There's only 2 wires. As long as you have checked your voltage on the wire, sometimes you know, the wire kind of pinch and, you know, go bad, but that's very rare. You can remove these 4 screws right there, pull the wires for the fan and connect it directly, and try to run it you know, separate. And even if it doesn't run, hey, that's an indication that the fan is definitely bad. But most likely, if your capacitor is good and the fan is not running on 220, and you're getting 220 voltage, you're getting the voltage to the motor and still not running, that means the fan is fried. So go ahead and replace the fan. Don't even waste your time. Another thing is for the compressor. So if same thing, if your capacitor is good and the compressor is not coming on, then you're going to have to check the terminals on the compressor and make sure that compressor is good. So there are 3 terminals where you can measure for impedance, and check for impedance and check for case to ground short. I'll make another video on that someday, but that's a different case. But most likely if your compressor is not turning on, you have proper voltage, your capacitor is good, and still the compressor is not turning on, that means compressor is bad. Not much you can do as long as there's no other short or anything like that. So normally when the compressor goes bad, your breaker will trip inside so it'll kill the power because there's probably some kind of short to the ground. So that is it, simple troubleshooting. Many times I've seen that a lot of people are not getting the proper voltage for triggering this unit, and that kind of indicates the internal stuff, and that could be your float switch or something that is not giving the signal to the outdoor unit to come on. And then you need to clean out your drain pipe, for example this one, coming from the inside of the house. So those are kind of like the ways that you can look into and troubleshoot things that could go bad, which is preventing the signal coming in over here. So again, basic, check the voltage at the very bottom, check the signal coming in, and then move on to troubleshooting on the rest that I talked about, the capacitor, checking the impedance, on the compressor if that's not running with a good capacitor, and things like that. So, and that's it, guys. Hopefully this video helps you guys troubleshoot your unit, and hopefully you like it. Definitely watch the video in the link in the description below that talks about the entire wiring of the system. And thanks for watching.